Welcome to the Grief Pie Podcast. This is a show where we motivate and inspire men to share their grief one bite at a time. Thanks for tuning in and adding your voice and stories so that we can all heal and find joy together. Now please welcome your hosts, Gary Scott and James Rafter.
It's like I'm wearing a mask. It's like I'm functioning, but I'm not really there. Like almost like an out of body experience where the numbness takes over and you're just on autopilot. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's kind of our thought for today on our podcast, which is grief pie. Uh, Two guys sharing grief one bite at a time. And my mime next to me is the infamous, the one and only Mr. James Finnegan Rafter. And there's his Poochie, Love Muffin, sitting right next to him. Finn, good boy. Good. I don't know what he's looking on, but I don't want to know. So guys, welcome to another episode of Grief Pie. And today's episode is we're kicking around, no matter how long you've been in this, like you, hopefully you guys all know by now, Jim's been, beautiful Jennifer's passed just over a year. My April's been gone 9 years. And so, we're at different levels, different kind of stages of where we are with this and the grief factor and stuff. But today, I got to thinking about where a lot of people are telling me they are, because we're starting to get a lot of feedback, and it's like this numbness. We have our careers, we have our jobs, but that person's gone, right? And so you're functioning, but you're not really there. And I hate to say that for any of the clients that we have or customers and things like that to our businesses. I mean, we're getting our job done, but it's like our soul is empty or something like that. So we're able to go through the steps, we're able to go through the motions, we're able to do a good job, get our job done for our clients and our businesses, but man, there's just that hollow sort of bottom, right, Jim? I mean, how are you dealing with that being so new and fresh out of the gate?
Well, we talked about this yesterday. I probably scared my children a little bit. My babies, well, they're not babies, they're like grown-ass adults. But I had a moment. We have moments of, I don't want to say despair, but it's definitely depression. Where you just get like, I want to go. I want to go. We talked about this. Is how do I get my guns across the border?
If you had guns, theoretically, if you had guns, how do you get them across?
This one, yeah. So this may go in the pile, the heat that can't talk or post.
But I ran. I mean, I ran like early, like immediately, like within weeks of April's, service. You're over, you're out. You have not run. I mean, I didn't get a paw. I wish I had, considering what I did do. But I mean, yeah, I mean that when the numbness wears off, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. When the numbness wears off, when the autopilot kind of starts shutting down and you start actually feeling again, yeah, fuck, man, you want to run. Because that's when the pain you can feel it now, right?
Oh, we're gonna hit this early, 100%. And we may hit 10 or 12 of these things. And did you, not to distract us, but you saw the hats that we got coming, right?
I saw the what?
The hats.
Yeah, the merch. Yeah, I saw the hats and
So
their
we have that.
camo, because we're going to war, mofo. Well, I told you what I wanted to name this podcast. I might as well share it with everyone on this now. I wanted to name it Grief Grenade and blow
I,
this shit up. Blow up the grief.
knowing
'Cause
what
I
I
got
know
shot
now,
down by the
wait,
entire corporation. All 947 employees of Grief Pie Incorporated shot me down.
knowing what I know now, should have listened to you. I I apologize.
Thank
My fault.
you.
So I don't even know where we're going with this, but it was this last week or so that I'm feeling that, right? And I had to tell my children that I'm finally in a space where I've gotten over the blur of the first year, and now I'm in this weird um what the F, right?
It's
And
not
I've got
weird.
great,
It's not weird. It's just the numbness is
yeah,
wearing off and you're coming out of that pain ether, right? It's
yeah.
like the 5 stages of grief they talk about, right? And I don't
Oh
remember them,
yeah.
so I'm not even going to try them. But this is where you're getting now into, and remember, with me being 9 years ahead of you, I can kind of see some of this stuff coming. I can't stop it. I can't keep it from doing it. I can make you aware, but so go on. Yeah, that's what you're hitting.
Yeah, I'm in that space. And as we talk about stuff and we try to help people, that's kind of our goal, right? Is we want folks out there to listen to us and go, oh my God, I feel the exact same way. Whether I'm 9 years in, 16 months in, whatever I'm in, I'm feeling that. And it's not wrong. I mean, it is just what it is. And I'm just in that place right now. Um,
Your kids were worried,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I had a complete intervention on, I think, Sunday morning.
which freaked us all out. I don't do interventions. I leave.
Oh, I've got, all three of them calling and FaceTiming and Dad, are you alive? And part of me is like, okay, so the silly part of me and just my personality is like, oh, F them. Let them squirm a bit. I don't understand.
Yeah. You know how difficult your childbirth was? That's what I like to tell the kids all the time. Do you know how difficult your childbirth was? They're like, Dad, you didn't have me. Mom did. I'm like, still, I was in the room. I know what she went through.
Make them squirm a little bit. Make sure you know that
So
they
what do you
care.
besides running, which is easy, what are you doing, man? Because this wall that you're gonna hit, this is really a bitch. Because what I've seen just from the groups I've been in and what I went through is that you start doing kind of weird shit, looking for comfort in weird ways, looking for companionship in a weird way, numbing things out in weird ways. Because as this pain starts escalating, right, is you don't know what to do with it because you've never dealt with something like this before.
Not to this level, right? I mean, I dealt with, you know, finding my brother dead, dealing with my mom dying, dealing with um, squadron mates dying. Um, I haven't, it's a weird feeling. And as I laid, so you know that I'm up every morning at like 2 or 3 a.m., right? And then my brain just goes into, you know, Power Ranger mode. So, that's when I start writing and doing stuff. And I sent that thing out to y'all today. and this is to be really truthful, I like girls a lot. So I maybe pathologically insane on hitting on women. I just, and not that I'm sleeping with any, it just kind of, I'd rather talk to a pretty girl than you. That's just, I can't be more honest than that.
I almost spit out my freaking tea. Listen, it's totally normal. Look, I have a lot of gay guy friends. They love dudes. All right. It's just their biology. They love dudes. You happen to love women. I mean, I happen to love my wife. I love the smell of her. I love the look of her. I love the taste of her. I love the sound of her. I mean, and that's how I was with April. I did. So your your person who you had that with all this time is gone. So that's what I'm saying. So this weird stuff kicks in. This real need for companionship is a fierce animal, right? It's a really tough one to get through. But also, you're gonna, once your autopilot slows down, where now you're actually, well, I gotta actually function because I'm no longer in that numb autopilot. That creates a real mind fuck because you start going, I don't want to do this. My head's not in the game here. You know what I mean? Now that I'm off autopilot, it's like I don't want to go play in the real world. I'm scared. I don't want to go out there. I'm all alone. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you're feeling any of that or if that's kicked in yet.
I think for the first time ever in my lifetime, I was ever, sorry, really, really like raw with my kids. So we're on the call and they're asking me, "What's wrong, Dad? What's wrong? Why are you in this kind of dark place?" And I finally just told them. And we talked about this in a prior podcast that'll come out someday. No one understands the loneliness, right? Being alone. And it's really hard when you love someone so hard and then all of a sudden you're alone. It is it is beyond imaginable. And I was trying to explain that to the kids is how lonely I am. And now to their point is, and we had this great conversation Sunday morning, just the four of us. Now every morning at 6 o'clock, I'm getting texts from everybody, you know, how's your day? Everyone got a good day going? What's going on? So it almost created like a tidal wave of communication of everyone feels something at some time. And how do you make that a positive, not a negative,
Well,
right?
it's excruciating. I mean, it's literally physically excruciating. It's not just mental. It's physical, right? I mean, you physically feel that loss and that void and that pain. And like I told you, we talked about it, but I don't think we've ever put it on a podcast. Is I've tasted the steel, man. I mean, I've gone there. Once with the shotgun and once with the niner. Again, just looking at the pictures of my boys pulled me back from the brink. It's like I can't. They lost their mom. I can't leave them without a dad. But you go that dark sometimes. I mean, you're just lost. It's like fuck it. I don't give a shit. What am I even doing here? I don't care. Right. And so what you did was massive. I wish I would have done that because instead of doing that and letting everyone know how I felt, I was Mr. Martyr. I'm the clown. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep putting on my gold pants for 67 days in a row. I'm going to show up at work. I'm going to do the best for my clients. A lot of my clients didn't even know April had passed, right? Because I didn't wear it. I didn't let anybody know. So I just did my job, did my job, and then came home and just died. Right. And so, had I done that, what you did, maybe the kids would have reached out to me more. Maybe Chris and I wouldn't have this little challenge we still have 9 years later. Zach and I are really good, we talk about it a lot more. But opening it up like that to family was brilliant, man. I mean, however you did it, it doesn't even matter how you did it. But now they know and they're making a conscious effort to help.
And we've talked about this multiple times, right? Is you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. You have to let people in to your soul, especially your kids. If you're gonna sit there and try to be the tough guy every day, right? It's not gonna work. You're just it's like the oak tree in a big storm, right? With all the roots, and all of a sudden it gets saturated and falls down because it can't support itself anymore, right? That was kind of a weird kind of thing, but
No, that's a perfect analogy. We're the oak, we're the family matriarch. Mom's gone. Now it's on our shoulders for the family. We're supposed to be the big, strong, you know, uh, oak tree, right? And then when our roots soften and we fall, people are like, what the fuck happened? They were like
yeah.
this big, strong oak tree, right? Well, they didn't see that the rain was constantly coming down and weakening the roots, and the slightest wind just knocked us over. So I think it's a perfect analogy.
And I just, I'm lucky. My kids, had their radar on, listened a little bit, and wanted, you know, to just grab me and say, Dad, no, you can't go. Because I literally was, and we talked about this. I was hooking up the truck and I was figuring out how to get to Laredo and the reef and fish and dive. And no one would ever see me again. And then all of a sudden I'm on, the call on Sunday, and I've got two beautiful granddaughters, um, and my wonderful kids. And I'm like, oh, you guys suck. I just want to go away. You people suck.
You guys suck. Well, how about, well, listen to this. I know you're kind of heading down this road. I don't think you're there yet, but it sounds like you're going there at warp speed as far as with the companionship. What really sucks is when you get that awesome gal, I dated a little bit. I wasn't out, going cuckoo cray cray, but I mean, I dated just a little bit, because I'm a relationship guy. I'm not a dater guy. And but you meet that one gal and she's awesome and she cares and she's healing and she's helpful, but you're so fucked up and you're in such a bad place that you screw that up hard, and so I don't know where you are with that because you're out just testing the like I like to say like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park as they're testing the electric fence to see where the weaknesses are. You know what I mean? But you're
Kind of
gonna
out of
find that awesome gal, and it's really gonna suck because you're gonna be mad at her. You're like, I'm not ready for you yet. You're not supposed to be in the rotation till more,
right.
right? And you kind of
I
hit that out the gate a little bit.
I did, and again, because I reached out to a really good friend, right? So that was the first dipping the toe in the pool and stuff. And now I'm just almost out of control. Again, I'm not like I'm not
You don't do things in moderation, my friend. You have a little snippety problem. It's not a problem. You have a little challenge with moderation.
so anyone watching, I'm not out having sex. I'm just what works to be like charming.
You're
So
absorbing the awesomeness which you are, and you're being rewarded for it. I mean,
um
and right now you're an international podcast sensation. So it's
well,
kind of hard to fight off the groupies.
like this one, yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
he has his own publicist.
oh my god,
Um,
he has his own dog, you know.
I think he has his own peanut butter endorsement.
He has a whole park where he goes to, and everyone's like, Finn's here. And all the girl dogs are like,
I hear there's a lot of hot bitches at that park. Do not know for sure. So but back to this numbness. It's kind of a bizarre thing because it kicked in again for me recently
okay,
with my cancer, right?
okay.
Like we talked about, like I know Jen went through and I know April went through, and there's not a person on the planet who hasn't had cancer who doesn't have scanxiety. As you're coming up to that scan
Yeah.
where you have to do every 3 months initially, and then meet your doctor, and just you're like sweating to find out, is it back? Have you seen it? Whatever. Um, but again, that numbness kicks in, and I found it like the last year really hard, and it probably wasn't real good for Elisa. Luckily, she's gone all the time on diving trips around the world
She's in the
with
PIs.
with
She's in the PI. She's
the
in the
PI.
PI, man.
She's diving with that Hulk from what was that show that you loved in the 50s with Lloyd Bridges? She's diving with
See, huh?
Lloyd Bridges.
She is down on, on the Argonaut. Yeah.
My wife is in love with Lloyd Bridges and she's traveling the world diving. Whatever. Hey, as long as they're happy. Um, but yeah, so the loneliness of that, the cancer diagnosis, the flashbacks of what we're doing, cleaning out more stuff like we had the Courage to Purge episode, trying to finally get through those last boxes of 20 million pictures, that numbness kicked in again of like, I don't want to do this. I don't, and you're dealing with it so much better than I did, my friend.
No, no, no. I don't. So one of my big things right now is I've got all kind of financials and taxes and stuff to do, right? Just I don't want to do any of it. I just want to go to South America and go away. I just don't want to deal with what I got to deal with, right? Um, so yeah, the good days, better days. I mean, I may have a little more advantage than you because I have the um my three kids really, really worry and care about me. Not that yours don't, right?
They didn't.
But you
Mine
still,
didn't. But then again, I was a dickwad and just bailed. So yeah, they're like, screw you, Dad. You're on your own, Sparky.
but and I'll go back to it. My call that they hit me up on Sunday was very enlightening. Um, it made me feel like I'm loved, I'm cared for, and I can't really totally go away, right? Even though I do, because you talked about the numbness. I have numbness every day, right? I just can't even fathom that I lost Jen, right? And I can play in my head on um talking to girls, flirting, whatever I do, right? But when I go to bed alone at night, I I I'm alone in bed at night. I don't know how to tell people, and I try to explain it to the kids. It's really hard to go to bed alone every night. Again, Finn, great little cuddler, but he's not Jen. So, and I know you probably feel the same way, right? I mean, but you have Elisa now, but
Yeah, she's gone all the time. So, it's a catch 22 because you start feeling a little better while she's here. And I'm not knocking her. I mean, shit, she's retired. She worked for 30 years. I mean, it's like she's retired. She's got the dough, from her mom, and she's out of here. Why? I would be gone too if I could. But I can't. I mean, I actually have a job and semi responsibilities. We have our own company. I mean, there's stuff I have to do, right? And so, yeah, it's hard. It takes a lot of adjustment when she goes. Um, because again, I mean, all of a sudden the house is quiet, the house is empty. You're wandering around. I mean, I don't sleep either. I'm like you, I don't sleep either. So I mean, I'll get up, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I don't care, and just wander around the house. I mean, her cat, I, I don't even really like her cat, but now her cat's like my best friend. It comes up to me, it snuggles on me. I hate pets in bed. I know people who have their dogs in bed and their cats in bed. I hate it. I don't want animals in my bed. But now when Alicia's gone, that little bitch sleeps in my bed. I'm like, screw it. I need something to snuggle up to. So, but yeah, and then that's the thing when I wanted to talk about this numbness, you know, because like I said, I was just talking to some folks, and that was one of the things I felt in them, and they didn't even really notice it. They didn't know that they were in the numb stage, but because I know them, I'm like, ooh, I can tell you're just dead. You're dead inside. The eyes are blank. Your expressions are off. Like you guys said to me yesterday on the call, what's wrong with you? You just something's going on. And I had a lot going on and I was not in a real good mood. But I didn't have a lot to add to the call. I just feel I'm just numb again and I hate it. And I wish I could figure out how to not be. And I know we're supposed to give answers on this podcast, right? We're supposed to be helping brother out, man. But this one's just hard for me, except for like you said, reach out, talk to your kids, talk to your family, talk to your girl, talk to your guy, whatever you have. And keep trying to express it and don't hide. Don't lay back in those covers, don't hide, don't lock down because it just gets worse. It gets darker that way.
Yeah, so not everyone has our personalities where we're the funny clowns, right? That we're always on stage. There's just times when the darkness kind of overwhelms us. One of the things I think about is I'm flirting, and um, is like, okay, what do I like more, my freedom, or do I want another ball and chain? I don't.
Your what? What do you like more? Your what?
My freedom or a ball and chain, right? I mean,
But
did Jen?
was Jen a ball and chain?
That's a lot of work. She,
April wasn't a ball and chain, and you know what? I really missed companionship, and that's why I, ran initially was for the companionship. And when I realized that was such a brutal crash and burn mission, and I pulled way back, and I said, "All right, I need to heal myself." Didn't. um, and then I'll find companionship, and I did find great, 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 amazing, wonderful women to spend time with, go out with, have fun with, have some laughs with, try to find light and love again. Um, and I still wasn't there. I still was a crash and burn mission. So the easy part, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but the easy part is finding a companion because there's a lot of people out there who are lonely and want companionship, right? So the hard part is being healed enough so that when you find that person, that you can not completely fuck it up.
well, and the crazy thing about you and I is that we committed, like, I mean, our commitment to our wives was off the charts, right? I've met so many a-holes that cheated, and do bullshit stuff. We never did that. We committed to our wives and our families. So we're looking for something to replace that. and it's gonna be really hard. Okay, for me, you found Elisa, right? And you guys have your relationship. For me, and I'm talking about me, I have a few people that I really, really like. And can they be the, and I don't want to say this in a bad way. This is, so I have to rephrase this because no one's going to be the next one, right? But
And that's a fear for them.
yeah, and who's the, I don't even know how to rephrase the other one, the who wants the job of taking care of my stupid ass, right?
They don't. They don't want the job of taking care of your ass. That's the deal. And the one that does is it's not going to work because it's just not going to work. The one that does. And the interesting thing is, you and Jen had a different marriage than April and I in a lot of senses because you travel a lot, right? So there was a lot of times where you were away, right? April and I were together 24/7. It just, I mean, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever. I mean, we're kind of like the Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney of real estate, right? I mean, we work together, we live together, we travel together. I would have to literally buy her tickets to go places with her girlfriends to kick her ass out. Because I'm like, you're getting burned out. You got to go, right? I'm fine. I'll take care of the kids. This is what I do. I work, right? But we travel a lot. We were very lucky. We were very blessed. We travel a lot. But I mean, we're literally so the relationship that Elisa and I have now is different. It's more like you're and Jen. Elisa's gone all the time, right? So it's not, I am not used to that. It's very difficult for me to adjust that. When we got together, she worked. So she was home. She worked, 9 to 5, like Dolly Parton, cooked dinner, had dinner. We had a normal life. But now that she's retired, she's gone all the time. So it's like, I'm not sure how I'm adjusting to that, right? Because now it's like, well, if I wanted to be alone, I'd still be alone, right?
right?
So in to go back to what you said, it's like the gals don't want to be that one. They don't want to replace that one, and they sure as shit, most of them do not want a rehab project.
Yeah, they don't want to be compared, right? That's 100. Okay, number two, 100%. They do not want to be compared to what we had for 30 plus years. I mean, that's tough on anybody,
Yeah.
which is why I try to date 30-year-olds because then they don't really.
Stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane. Well, it's also the fear that we talked about before is we don't want someone our age who's going to get sick,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's like, listen, you old bag, if you get sick, I already did that shit. I don't want to be a caretaker either. You don't want to change my retarded diapers, and I sure as shit. Oh, can't use the R word. I'm sure I'm going to get shit for that. But I mean, chicks don't want to take care of you, and we don't want to take care of someone who's not healthy, right? So, you know,
That's
we,
why I try to date 30-year-olds.
we we've completely slid off the rail. So, someone have any control of this podcast, please? Where's the producer? Where is everybody? They've completely left us unsupervised. Another
3-year-old.
tragic podcast mistake.
Did you know? Okay. Did you know that I was on Romper Room?
Oh, the show Romper Room?
Yeah. So I was on Romper
Is
Room.
that the chick with the big glasses that say I see Billy and I see Susie and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I did an episode of Romper Room.
How old were you?
4 or 5, 3, 4, something like that. 5. Again, so my point being, this is exactly how this whole thing went down.
That is, I was wondering what your point was. How you got to, is that like dating 30-year-olds? Is like being on Romper Room?
Just bouncing around. And there's one poor teacher trying to keep us. Hurting ours.
Dating
Okay,
30-year-olds when you're 60 is like being on Romper Room. See, I stayed in my lane, bro. I went for the old chicks. All right.
I just want everyone to know I am an international superstar.
You
I
are.
have my SAG my SAG card, and I was on Romper Room.
And you've only gotten bigger since, literally.
I did get a little bigger. That was 4.
Oh my God. Well, do you think, in all honesty, no offense to the hot little hottie 30-year-old hotties, all 60-year-old men want to be with the 30-year-old hottie. But do you really think that there's a compatibility level there for you? Is that someone who can help you through your long-term shit, or is that just like a nice happy road stop on pit stop on the companionship of life vehicle road?
Great question. Again, I do like the 30-year-old hotties, but they also have, 12-year-old, 9-year-old children that I don't want to deal with ever again. So that's just being honest.
Yeah.
And again, there's a person that I am very, very, very fond of, and she is not 30. So we'll see where that goes. And um I just like to flirt. That's what I do.
Yeah.
It's my best attribute.
Well, at this stage, though, like we talked about on a different podcast, is that why not? I mean, why not? I mean, you went through the sausage grinder of being a caretaker, which is, everyone who's been a caretaker understands that. It is a fucking sausage grinder, man. It'll beat you mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, every way that it can take from you. It will when you're a caregiver like you were for a cancer patient, especially when someone has the cancer like Jennifer had. So when you get released and you can run like the wind bullseye, right? I mean, what's the harm in you? As long as you're not hurting anybody, they're flirting back, right? I mean, so what's the harm of it? It's no harm. As long as you don't, do what I did and what I just found out a good friend of mine did. The guy's just barely divorced. I don't even think the ink is dry on the divorce, and he just got engaged, which is exactly what I did, which is exactly what I told him not to do. He did not listen to me. Yeah. So as long as you don't do that and jump into something that just most likely is a rebound crash and burn mission, so you don't hurt somebody, then who cares if you're flirting? Who cares if you're even sleeping with gals? I mean, you've earned it. They're adults. What's the big? Well, not the 30-year-olds.
30-year-olds.
You have to ask their dad to take them out on a date.
do have I do have scruples, so I am not sleeping with anybody. I just like flirting and getting digits. And again, I'll just go back, and there's just the one person that I hope I'm going to be with down the road, but I don't know. We shall see. But I do like, what did I tell you the other day? The safari.
you're you're like the cheetah.
Just like going hunting.
They're like all the little 30-year-olds are caribou, and you're the cheetah with starving babies at home. You're like I sent that meme to Elise. I said, if anybody's hitting on you over there, like an angry badger, I'm gonna go gut the sons of bitches. All right, because this is what I do. I protect my bitches. Well, we've completely gone off the rails. I have a feeling the Warlock is gonna boot this entire podcast because the premise of the podcast was not dating hot 30-year-olds, and we've completely digressed into that thing.
Wait a minute.
But it does
I
tie
wrote
into
it.
the
I
fact
wrote it. I wrote it down.
All right, but it does tie into the fact that whatever helps you come out of the fog, whatever helps you feel again, um, initially the feeling is pain, but whatever can help you feel again so that you're just not numb and on autopilot and wearing that mask. Like a friend of mine who's a salesperson, she says, when I get up in the morning and I leave the house, I take a hanger from the closet and I put it in my mouth so it looks like I'm smiling. And I have to wear it all day. When I get home, I take my bra off and I take my hanger out of my mouth
Hey, do
because
not talk about hot sales chicks that that you know.
but it's tough to be in sales like you and I are. I mean, you
Yeah.
need to talk to clients every day and you need to be, snippy, snippy, Jim, right? I need to be happy, pappy, Gare Bear. And so it is not easy when your whole entire, DNA is throbbing in pain, right? And you're numb and you're spaced. It's very difficult. So like you said, so your apparatus to help you get through in it, out of it, through it, however you want to talk about it, is the flirting. Did it feels good to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, without question. And everyone listening that we're gonna hopefully help get through whatever year 1, 2, 3, 9. I mean, that's kind of our goal, right? Is we want to help folks get through what they're going through, even, and we haven't got into it too much yet, but even going into it when it's first happening, right? And how you deal with that and we'll just take this on a real quick. We'll take this on a relationship basis, right? When you go through 3, 4 years um, of a death journey, for lack of a better term, and you give up that intimacy of sex, and it's not love, it's not, you didn't give up love, right? You just had to give up the sex, right? um so folks out there, understand, be patient, be wise, and just try to be the best person you can as you care for your significant other um, through these journeys. Uh, and when you come out of it on the other end, then you've got options and make good decisions.
Well, I think, there's so many levels to what you just said. And I think even the sex, yeah, I mean, that's just when, your wife is going through what Jen and what April went through. That's just not really a possibility at some point. But even the physicalness, even just the companionship or the cuddling, the touching, the hugging, the intimacy without sex, right, is difficult. Because you're in pain.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
I'm not even sleeping in the same bed. I'm not even in the same room sometimes. And there's times April couldn't even sleep in the same room because she was in so much pain she couldn't sleep, just did chemo or whatever, right? So it's like that lacking when you've had it, so much is that's a tough one.
Yeah. Oh, and again, when we talk about chemo, radiation, right, all those things just create so much pain. So, and like with Jen, with her ostomy bag, just her, how she felt about herself, the discomfort, and not feeling like a woman anymore. So again, my advice to guys, and I'll focus this on the guys right now. If and when, God forbid, you have to go through this, be patient. Um, and understand It's not about you, and don't ever cheat. And that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and like I was talking about the rooms I went into, the grief groups. Um, wow, that was wicked bad. And everyone goes to their own kind of pain, and everyone goes to their own kind of ways to get through the pain. Um, and I think in COVID, we found out a lot about ourselves and our abilities to absorb pain, right? Even though it wasn't cancer related, you had the double whammy of COVID and cancer and hospitals and all this shit COVID put you guys through while Jen was sick. But the fact that people had to actually uh, be present for a spouse and family members because of COVID, and divorces just skyrocketed, right? Because people, when stuff gets really tough, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's, adultery, whatever, um, we don't handle it real well. And what you and Jen were able to do, and what you were able to do as a husband, is super, super rare. It just is. So it's tough to judge people for the decisions that they make. I get where you're going with that. But we certainly don't want to shame anybody. And
No,
we certainly understand that people, men and women, I mean, this isn't just a dude thing. I mean, the chicks are out there, just the same, because there's a lot of weirdness. And I think COVID exposed a ton of that stuff about people's true feelings towards the people they're with, and when you're in the battle like you were in, I mean, that's when a lot of people, men and women, hit the fan.
so I'll finish this up with one last thought, right? Very, very true. Third time, 100%.
I don't know if I've ever had the trifecta before to three-peat.
But find an outlet, right, for your heart. Um, one of the things I'm fortunate to have is that I live in this gorgeous RV resort on the beach in Oceanside. Great people around me. I bought the staff lunch, pizza, and stuff on Sunday. And I didn't say it was from me. I said it was from Jen because it was Jen's idea from the first time we got here, and they really fell in love with her. Um, so just find your heart, man. I just, you know, find something to do that isn't mean and find people to help. So there you go.
Yeah,
Without being too heavy.
yeah, but I'll tell you what, that's such a crucial idea if you can pull it off. When you're in the shit, you you don't really have that option. It's a lot harder. I mean, you didn't and I didn't. It was a 24-hour a day job. Um, plus work, plus trying to keep all the balls in the air. But when that's over and that shock kicks in, and then you go, like I said, the autopilot, you got the mask on, you're just numb, right? So whatever happens in that numbness, it's out of your control almost. I mean, it's like a lot of other things, like addictions. There's so many different types of addictions and things like that. But once the numbness wears off and you start getting coherent about, uh-oh, I got to grow up and go out in the real world now, that's when you start making those crucial decisions, right? I mean, that's when you start realizing that you could hurt people, you can hurt yourself, you can hurt your family, you can hurt your finances, you could do a lot of really stupid shit. Because, like I said, you don't care. You don't give a flying fuck. So that's when you start. That's the dangerous side of coming out of the numbness, is the I don't give a fuck stage. because that's when you're most likely to make those types of mistakes. So you just got to be careful. Like you
Yep.
said, find some sort of outlet.
Be vulnerable, but find your resources, right?
Yep.
So without being too heavy, you look
Yep.
good today. Did
We're
you
just
tan
heavy
today?
guys.
Did you
Well, all
tan
right.
today?
Well, this one, this was good. I mean, there's, I don't know if I don't know if we approached it the way I'd hoped. I don't know if we covered the things I wanted to cover because it's a really important topic to me because it's a really, really hard thing for people, not just the husband, not just the spouse, the children, the other family members. That grief, the layers of the grief throughout the tree are really wide, right? Like I said, 30 years later, my mom is still a mess over my dad, and 14 years later, my mom still can't get over April. So for some people it lasts a lot longer. Some people it doesn't. But I guess my point in wanting to do this one was when you're in the numbness and you're on the autopilot and you're deep in that grief and you don't think anything matters, you don't give a shit, you don't think anyone cares, you don't think anyone's listening, you don't think anyone's there for you, right? Remember, the phone works both ways. Don't get caught in that trap of why me? How come no one's calling me? How comes no one's looking out for me? How come no one's reaching out to me? Where'd all the chicks go? Right? It's like an NBA kid, right? He comes out of high school, gets a $50 million contract, has a million friends, all the money's gone. The guy breaks his leg, has zero money, and now everybody's gone, right? And when you get that feeling, that's when you got to be really careful. So, like you said, find an outlet, and for sure as shit, reach out. I can't emphasize that enough. Don't stop reaching out to people and trying to communicate with family, friends, and things like that. You have to do it.
Number 4, 100%.
I'm on fire today.
Um, yeah, and this will not be our only chit chat about this stuff because we're still on a journey that is not ending. And I just want everyone that listens to us to understand, for me, it's I'm the first mile in the marathon. You're half, you're wherever you're at. So um it's 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 a marathon, not a race. And again, reach out to us, you know, um, email, text, whatever y'all want. Um, don't be afraid. Um, we may not have all the answers because we are not professionals, but
Anything. Well, I get
um,
we do have to wrap this up, and I get where you're going with it. I mean, guys, just Jim, thank you. What we'll be posting some resources on the website. This website's coming out. We'll have some different resources on there for people to get to. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I'm stoked about it. Again, we don't have the answers, but sometimes just being able to talk to someone who is a third neutral party. You're not talking to your spouse's family, you're not talking to kids, you're not talking, sometimes you could be more open and be honest. So sometimes reaching out to somebody who isn't intimately involved is a big help. So we'll try to get some resources on the website. But again, you could reach out to me, you could reach out to Jim. We might not have any answers, but maybe we could just help talk through some shit. So again, Gary, Jim, I never know where he is anymore. Thank you so much, guys. Jim, you got a final send off before I close this out?
love you, love what we're doing. Um, let's just keep doing what we do and see if we can't help a few.
Love it. Love it. So, guys, we are Grief Pie Podcast. We are two guys sharing grief one bite at a time. And please subscribe, like, share, comment. But definitely subscribe so that you can keep coming back to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over the place. The Warlock's got us over the men's restroom. Who knows where we are? But
And when Gary says share, it's SHARE, not CHER.
no, you're Cher. I'm Sunny. All right, Cher. I love you. Thank you, guys.
Love you, man.
See you on the other side.
backside.
This has been our weekly broadcast, brought to you by the Grief Podcast Studios. We can be found in audio-only format on all the popular podcasting platforms. Remember to like and subscribe and to hit that alert button so you don't miss any episodes. Thanks again, and until next time, treat yourself gently. And don't bite off more than you can chew. Healing is a process.